I 100% feel like he deserves to be in jail.
You got something? Anything else you want to say on your own? Okay, go ahead. You gotta tell one of these.
You got a tail stick?
Pick the center. Middle. The middle.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah, take her out, please.
Turn her mic off.
Omni Day. Come on, Grandma. You just going with us. That's all.
I know. It's
Yeah.
not for me.
It's our day.
Okay.
Please
I'm
know.
8.5 months. I have a little over 2 weeks left before I give birth. So right around the corner.
Ooh, Grandma. You ready, Kim? Ooh. You know I be nervous.
I'm having a boy. I'm very excited. I've always wanted a boy first. So it's just like a dream come true to have a boy.
You gonna be pulling up in minivans, baby.
My heroes right now in my life, I have a couple. One of them definitely being my mom.
At this point, I wouldn't feel comfortable with nobody else going with me anyway.
And one of them being myself. Because I feel like I pulled myself out of a very, very dark spot multiple times in my life when I felt like I wasn't going to. So myself, my mother, my brother and sister, those are definitely my heroes.
I'd be excited and nervous though. But the anticipation of like them putting it on there and trying to find it first,
I know,
it
right?
makes my nerves so bad. Because I'd be like, y'all taking a little too long to find my baby heartbeat.
Like, find it, Jesus. Find it, Jesus. Quit playing with me now.
And you know doctors, they're horrible and stuff like that. They just go silent.
Come on, Billy. Yeah. Ready? Hold it.
I'm Buku Abai, aka Joanne Kelly. I am the daughter of Andre Kelly and R. Kelly. I'm just here trying to make things happen, not just for me, but for my child.
Camera speed.
All right. Buku Doc, Studio 4.
There's nothing else in this world that I was meant to do except be a mother and be an artist. That's it. I'm not here for nothing else. I'm not here to prove myself to people. I'm not here to make other people happy. I'm not here to be this ideal version of whatever people want me to be. I'm here to do music and be a mother.
I just remember labor with her. She came out and she makes the same face to this day. When she came out and they laid her on my chest, she was like, looking around at everybody. I was like, oh, Pisces, here we go. Such a good baby.
I would definitely say Chicago is probably the harder parts of my life. I started in Olympia Fields. I was living at my dad's house with me, my mom, my brother, and my sister.
The Olympia Fields police said it best to me one day. He said, you know, that big old gate around your house is not to keep everybody out, it's to keep you in. And that just, it made it all clear to me. We had no contact with our friends, family. He decided who was going to be friends, who was going to be family. We were just in this world that was so dark that that mansion just felt like a prison all the time.
I received a phone call from my daughter, and she asked me, would I help her? That she wanted to get away from her marriage.
And I talked to my dad, like, this is our meeting place. This is the day I'm leaving. This is what time I'm leaving.
When I received the call, and I gave the phone to my husband, and we made the arrangements. It was to rescue, actually, all 4 of them from him, because that house was a house of horror.
I do remember the night that we left like it was yesterday. And I just remember my mom like coming in my room and like basically like shaking me awake. She gets me and my brother and sister all together and we're getting in the car. And I just remember her being like super frantic.
And I woke her up in the middle of the night. And I remember trying to get the car to start. And I felt like the goofy white girl in the movie because I kept dropping the keys. I couldn't get the car to start. And I was nervous because I'm like, my God, I don't know who he has watching us.
So anyway, we're riding in the car, and then I just remember pulling up to a Walgreens, and then there was another car beside us. 2 women and a man get out, and I'm like...
Had never seen them in person before. I was a perfect stranger to them, and so I could tell that it was traumatic to them.
And my mom's like, oh yeah, these are your grandparents. I was like, what the fuck?
And I think Joanne feared, or Boku, as we call her, she too understood that this was not normal routine.
And Jay is in the back seat sucking her thumb. And she looked at me, she said, Mama, who is that man? I was like, that's your grandfather, that's my dad. And she stopped sucking her thumb and she said to my dad, she was like, what's up, Daddy-o? And put her thumb back in her mouth and went to sleep.
I was so confused because that was my first time meeting my grandparents, was when my mom left my dad.
We traveled approximately 50 miles to where I lived, the home where I lived in suburban Chicago.
And I tell people like, yeah, I didn't meet my grandparents till I was 6. It's like they're mind fucked. Like, how does that even happen? But
And I remember my dad saying, don't worry, you're safe now. Once I left, I knew I wasn't going back. But unfortunately, the way our court systems are set up, even with having a restraining order protection, which was granted by the judge, I was told that he has the right to see his children, that there still will be visitation. So here I am, a mom, escaping my abuser, and have a judge tell me every weekend, that same house you escaped, you now have to send your children back. I would say the first part of her life as a little girl, she was a daddy's girl. Like, she cared less. I'd go do whatever. Her son rise and set on her dad. Daddy's girl, hands down, in the beginning.
I looked at him like my superhero. Like, that was my everything. I would go on tour with him. I was at the studio sessions. I didn't want to leave his side. That was my ride or die. Like, honestly, that was my best friend. I wanted to be with him everywhere that he went. So when everything kind of started crumbling, it was very devastating for me. Especially because I'm the oldest out of 3 siblings. So I was the one that kind of can remember more. And I got the good parts of him. So it was a little more devastating for me because I had to look at 2 different versions of this one person. My mom did a really, really, really good job at giving us a good life, despite what was actually going on. And so transitioning was difficult because I felt like my reality was just kind of swiped away from me. And it was like, this is what I think is going on, and this is what actually is going on. So it was hard.
So much of their life as children was on a tour bus, so they lived in this bubble. Then when you get to school, you are exposed to this world that I don't think she was prepared for.
Being isolated as children, that was more of my dad's decision. I don't know if it was because he didn't want us exposed to like the Hollywood life, or if it was guilt and he knew what we would have to deal with if people knew who we were. It was hard because I didn't have an understanding of who my dad was to the public. So people were very mean. Like for a long time, people didn't even know that he was married. People didn't even know he had kids. I remember getting kicked out of schools because of who my dad was. It took my mom a very long time to find a school that would even take us. They basically kicked us out because they were like, we don't want to risk your dad coming and picking them up from school and being around the other kids and all these other things. So it was really hard. The kids at school were ruthless. And that's probably a part of why we are all so close, as far as like my mom and my brother and sister and I, because that's all I know.
Pretty much everybody in this room knows how much my baby means. And he feels all the love. So thank you guys for being here.
Since the day she told us that she was pregnant, I've just been counting down the days since he comes out. And then I already knew it was a boy before they got the ultrasound and stuff. Like, I'm just really excited.
Over the moon, so happy, ready to see her as that mother that she's always wanted to be. I know she's gonna be amazing.
How do I feel about Buku having a baby? I can't like feel about it. I gotta just think about it, cause if it leaves my brain and hits my heart, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm excited, it's scary, I don't know, it's everything in between and beyond.
I finally feel like there's a rebirth of the Kelly name. It doesn't always have to be doom and gloom. I can finally look at like this little Kelly coming into the world and being like, dude, like, you the new us. Like, it's dope.
Judy, she actually started working for us as a nanny.
I have a close, amazing relationship with him. I grew to be part of the family. They're like my own kids. I was there for them through all these years.
Judy, she was the one babysitter that got us in shape, and she was part of the reason that we kind of settled down and really got grounded as people, so she became family.
Judy is like my second mom. Like, really, I feel like Judy and my mom were my parents.
We were pretty bad kids. We were good, but we were bad. And so we gave her a hard time, but she stuck around. And I don't know if that's because, like, looking back, I feel like that's because she knew, you know, what was going on and the type of environment that we were actually in.
It was one of my toughest jobs as a nanny. My job is to be there for the kids, and only the kids. I just pray to God that I had no involvement with Dad's situation. And there's so much that I cannot say and share just to protect the kids.
Mr. Kelly was not a father. My daughter never once hesitated about allowing access to the children. And they wanted to see their dad, understandable. There were times when he would say, I'm sending a car to be there in a half an hour. They never showed up at all. Kids were standing there waiting, had their clothes packed, they're crying. We had to pick up the pieces. We had to try to explain to young children how the actions of an adult were not their fault. You know what? They used to think it was their fault.
She loved her father. She worshiped the ground that he walked on. She used to cry to go and see him. And he would send a car and she would get there and then 90% of the time not see him.
He did that to them. That is as cold-blooded and calculated and uncaring as any, quote, parent could ever be to their child, in my personal estimation.
What do you feel about him saying your mother brainwashed her to not like him?
When it comes to him feeling as if my mom has brainwashed us, I feel like it is bullshit. He knows exactly why we can't have the relationship that we would have liked to have with him. Not only that, I don't understand how you could put your hands on my mother and then expect me to be able to have the same relationship with you. My mom went through a lot. She went through a lot of mental and emotional and spiritual turmoil. I thought I was never gonna get my mama back. So for you to say like, oh, she's brainwashing them, it's like, no, you know exactly what you did. And I just don't see how that in his mind wouldn't affect us. I had to watch my mom heal from that. It wasn't just I had to watch her go through it, but I had to also watch her heal. And that was hard. Like there was, and I tell my mom this all the time, there was days that I thought I lost both parents. I already don't have you. And you fucked up my mom so bad that I feel like I don't have either. There was days my mom wouldn't come out of her room. I had to take care of my brother and sister. I had to feed them. I had to get everybody up. I had to grow up because of how fucked up and how messed up of a place my mom was in. So it was scary because it's like, nobody else had to see that. Nobody else was living in the houses with us. Like, I had to see my mom not get out of the bed for days in a row. I had to see my mom break down and try to take her own life. Like, I had to witness all of that. Nobody else did. So for you to turn around and be like, no, it was brainwashing and da-da-da, like, no, you know exactly what it was. So I don't know. That shit was just, it was ridiculous. And I feel like it was really unfair. And it's unfair to continue to say that because we all know it's not true.
He manipulated them. And these are small children. Even as adults, that's difficult to deal with. But for them, it was crushing. And Joanne was the oldest. Buku, she has a nurturing nature. She basically took care of the little ones, right? They looked up to her. And so that was the added pressure. I'm an oldest child, so I know what that's like. And I think that trying to be strong for her siblings, trying to be strong for her mom, and then you have to deal with these monstrous things that they're literally unspeakable. And they push you that far, and that's what I'm saying about everybody has a breaking point. Everybody's got a breaking point. And for a young child to be put in that position by somebody who knew that they could do that, unspeakable.
I know that she's stronger than anything that she's ever had to deal with, and that, I mean, her being alive today is proof of that. So, I mean, it's scary, but I believe in her more than I'm afraid of the things that are bad in life.
I just got to a point where I didn't care anymore. I didn't care if I lived or if I died, or I didn't care about what happened to me. I just remember one day, my mom and I, we went to Target. And I had to use the bathroom. So we went into the bathroom and she came out and I was washing my hands. And she saw that like my wrists were all cut up and she just immediately dropped everything. And she was asking me like, what's going on? Like, are you okay? She was really worried. And in that moment, I broke down and I had to tell her, like, I don't think I'm okay. I don't think that I can do this. I don't think that I'm gonna make it through to live out the rest of my life.
I feel like my older sisters definitely got the short end of the stick, and I've seen the tribulations that they had to go through, and that was definitely scary, you know, waking up and not knowing, you know, is my sister gonna be alive, or like, you know, just the anxiety of if someone's in the bathroom too long. I definitely, when I was younger, I had a lot of insomnia.
As a big sister, I have a lot of guilt for that part of my life. Because I know it was really hard for my brother. Because my sister and I, we struggled a lot mentally. And I know that there's a lot of time when my brother doesn't know if we're gonna be okay, or if we're gonna take our own lives and leave him. So I hold a lot of guilt.
Now that my sisters are older and stronger, like, it's definitely kind of subsided. I still have my moments when they go through something hard. It's always triggering because, you know, you never know what could be someone's last straw. And I've seen them both get very close to their last straws, including my mom. So kind of made me man up really early and kind of become what I feel like is the rock sometimes. We're all each other's rock, if I'm being real, because I know I've had my moments.
My brother and my sister, they're my heart. And to think in any type of way that I made their life more difficult is a really hard pill to swallow, but it's the truth. There were days that I didn't know if I was gonna make it, and that affected him. It affected him really bad.
My girls are really strong. They're outwardly strong because they have to be. My son, Robert Jr., I worry about the most because he internalized so much being the little man in the house that 1 week if I wasn't taking Joe to the hospital, the next week is jaw cutting. And I can't imagine what that feels like to go to bed every night and not wonder which one of your siblings is gonna be dead, or who you're gonna find dead, or who couldn't take it anymore, or if it's gonna be your mom. I worry about him because sometimes I think one day that branch is going to snap. And I know it's difficult having Robert Sr.'s name, so that's a pressure in and of itself. That it's a thing that I don't know if I will ever sleep at night because that keeps me up at night wondering what he's thinking, wondering what his sisters are going through that's going to affect him that he's not talking about, that one day I might wake up and find that he's the one not alive. So yeah, it's hard being my son, but he does a damn good job at it. All this pain comes from one place as a mother, like, whatever happened with me and their dad, and I'm very clear, just because you're not a good husband doesn't mean you can't be a good father. And the fact that he didn't even try. What he did to me, he did to me. But you didn't have to do it to my damn kids.
The song that I did with my dad, I was about 16 or 17, and I was very hesitant because our relationship has been rocky since I left and I didn't go back to the house. He wrote the whole song, so he wrote my verse, he wrote his verse, the chorus, all of that. Judy was at the studio with us. Yeah, we recorded the song. I've always had a very more bitter reaction to the song, especially because he wrote my verse. It was like a slap in the face. It's like, you know exactly how I feel, yet you continue to be the same father. You continue to be the same man, but you can write a song about how it's affecting me, how it's affecting my brother, how it's affecting my sister, how it has affected my life. Yet, what? Like, there's no change. So there's comprehension, but there's no action to be a different version of yourself. And so it was hard recording it because at one point, honestly, when I read the verse, I wanted to get up and walk out. Because I was like, what the fuck is this? So you know exactly how I feel. So it was hard, and to have everybody like, oh, it's such a beautiful song, like, I love that song, it got me through it, and it made me and my dad closer, and it made me and my dad spread further apart, because I was like, so you know exactly how I feel, yet you're the same exact person. So it was hard. I've tried to run away from music because I've seen the darkness that it brought into my family. I've seen all that shit. But I can't escape what God sent me here to do, and that's music. So no matter what I do, no matter who I become, no matter what version of myself I end up being, music is always going to be the pull for me. It saved my life. Like, if it wasn't for music, for what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for music. If I didn't learn how to take my pain and turn it into something beautiful through song, through writing, through producing.
Can she sing or what?
The girl can sing. Buku's about 14 years old, and I'd never heard her sing before. So first time I heard her sing, I was like, wow, the genetics are there. She is gifted. And, am I proud as a grandfather? Would I tell you she could sing anyway? Yes, but there are other people that will tell you the same thing. She is an absolutely gifted singer, but not only a gifted singer, she's a great performer too. She's got stage presence.
My first time recording a song was with my brother and sister, and we did it on a computer with headphones. Like, that was our first studio. Our studios have been in closets, in extra rooms that we found in apartments that we lived in. Like, everything we have now, we have worked our asses off for it.
Let me get it,
I see myself succeeding. I see the sold out shows. Me, my brother and sister, we sit and talk about it all the time. There's no way that it's not going to happen. And I will die trying.
Try so hard, but I just can't see.
I was about 19 years old, and a friend of my mom's who worked closely with Sony had reached out, and they were like, hey, I have an idea. I want to bring the kids up to Sony. I think they would be a perfect fit because he knew we did music.
We went down to Vegas. We drove down from California, and we met a producer named Adonis. He worked with Sony, and they were looking to sign us. We showed him music. He had his little studio set up in his house. He really liked it. He gave us really, really good feedback on it. Like, we was like, oh yeah, we about to get signed. Like, this is inevitable, basically.
We met up, we played him our music, and he was like, oh yeah, this will be perfect. Like, they're gonna love them. This is the second generation of Kellys. Like, we can rewrite the script. Just really pumping it up. For anybody that doesn't know, music for my brother and sister and I is everything. It's the air we breathe, it's the blood that runs through our veins. It's all we know. So it meant a lot that we finally felt like, oh, somebody's looking at us aside from all the bullshit. Like, they wanna help. Like, they want to see us succeed. So it meant a lot.
So we went to the studio. My sister recorded her song first with a beat that I produced. I recorded my song with a beat that I produced, and then my brother recorded a song with a beat that Adonis produced. And they loved every single song. Like, they was just hype in the studio. Like, they was going crazy.
I remember we got to our last meeting, but it was one of the higher ups for Sony. And we were all sitting down. They had me sing live. They had my brother, rap a little bit. And then they played some of my sister's beats. And they were like, this is great. You guys are super talented. Blah, blah, blah. Just giving the whole nine. And then...
Black girls matter. Black girls matter.
They basically said that the only reason we cannot go through with this deal is because we, as a company, do not want to get wrapped up with what your father has going on. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to proceed.
It was basically a problem to sign us because of the allegations with my dad. And when they said that, it kind of made sense that why they didn't sign us. And I felt like more so it was because of association.
Which was like a slap in the face, because in my opinion, I was like, well, y'all should have never did all of this in the first place. If that's how you knew who I was when you reached out. So I just felt like we got dragged along just to get dropped. Music is our everything. So that was horrifying for me and my brother and sister. Like, we all damn near wanted to quit music at that point. We were like, fuck it. Because if every time we get this close to the finish line, somebody's just going to be like, well, because of your dad, we can't, then why am I doing this? This is stupid.
Yeah, Sony sucks. I do want to say it was emotionally difficult because of the excitement of being like, oh, this is it. You're 16, you got all these guys in suits standing around you telling you, oh, you're gonna be a star, you're gonna be this and that. It's like, it's all you want. Not really tripping now because I'm him, but it was definitely difficult becoming so close to what you've been chasing the whole time and being rejected for something that you have no control over. It was devastating, honestly.
So I don't think anybody grows up in life wanting to be forced to be under the same identity as somebody else. I feel like that's human nature, to want to be your own person.
Everywhere we go, everything we do, it's always gonna have some type of like double meaning under it, or someone's gonna read between lines that aren't there. And it's just like, makes it difficult to just be a person.
I feel like it's not fair that we're not given our own chance to show people who we are, rather than them just basing who we are off of our father.
You get people talking about, oh, you got some big shoes to fill. I'd be like, fuck them shoes. Them hoes beat. That's not me. You know, people want me to carry on the torch. I'm like, I'm not trying to spread that fire. I want to do my own thing. So I think that kind of led into me being like on my rock star shit. You know how that go. But yeah, it's definitely pressure being a man, like having the insecurities of like, you know, because I don't want to resemble him in any way. So, you know, if I'm in the kitchen, just doing my own thing, if I'm leaning on the counter a certain way and my mom's like, oh, you look just like your dad, I'd be like, fuck you talking about?
Zad, you about to be an uncle.
Yeah, bro. I definitely feel like I have a obligation to kind of step up and turn things around.
I don't know what's crazier, like I'm about to be an uncle or my sister's about to be a mom. Like that is freaking
It's like
nuts.
the more we talk about it, the more I'd be like, oh shit.
Especially now that my sister is having a boy. Because I know the pressure of just, I know, being the first man, like, after him. So, I don't know, man. I mean, I've never really had anyone there for me, so I can't really replicate anything from my nephew, but I can just do my best.
You know what that rocks him? Yeah. I'm gonna be rocking that baby. Bro, I'm telling you, you're never going to see your kid.
I know. I already know.
People gonna think it's my kid.
I have to mentally prepare. Like,
yeah,
I told Mom, I was like, I need you for this because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna be in Target all day. No.
We're looking at baby stuff.
That is wild.
Oh my God, excuse me, Starbucks. Starbucks.
Okay.
You have to have this.
Stop.
This is your Starbucks.
I think that in some way she feels like
No, this is really cute.
her and God reconnected and God saw her worthy of happiness and a gift. Because for so long her world seemed like just doom and gloom and pain and hurt and loss, that finally God is like, all right, I'm about to give you something good. So I think it does a lot for her self-esteem to know that, yes, I can be a mom and I'm going to be a mom. To see her so happy. It was hard in the beginning, though. It was hard in the beginning, but she has finally fell into that thing where she's like, I'm about to be a mom and now I have to do this for somebody other than me. And now I think that she really sees that her life is bigger than just her.
I feel like even though I'm about to give birth to another human being, I feel like this process has forced me to also give birth to myself. I feel like I've shed so much skin. I've learned so many things, and it's only the beginning. That's another reason why I'm so grateful for motherhood just in general, because it forces you to look at yourself. And it forces you to grow up in ways that you can't even, like, you don't even comprehend until it happens. Like, there's no way that I could prepare somebody for the amount of change that you go through. It's not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. Like, my whole being is different on all levels now. So I feel like not only am I giving birth to my baby, but I'm giving birth to myself. Nobody wants to be the child of the father that is out here hurting women and children.
And today R. Kelly was sentenced to prison for his many crimes against underage girls. And R. Kelly,
I don't want any parts of it.
I hope this sentencing serves as its own testimony that it doesn't matter how powerful, rich, or famous your abuser may be, or how small they may make you feel, justice only hears.
How I feel about my dad's prison sentencing is how I feel about any prison sentencing for the most part. You don't want to go to jail, don't do shit that gets you locked up.
You know, you make your bed, you lay in it. I mean,
some people may disagree with me. Some people may even dislike me for it. But I'm going to tell you how I honestly feel, in no uncertain terms, that I hate Mr. Kelly with every fiber of my being.
Tell us why.
The reason I despise Mr. Kelly is how he hurt my babies. Excuse me. He would go to any length to demean, to denigrate, to isolate them from the life that they deserved. He was selfish, uncaring, controlling, and brutal. He made them feel less than they should have ever felt, and he had half the world on his side. They had to suffer in silence.
He's a monster. There is no other word for him. He's a monster. What he has done to those kids, what he has done to our daughter, what he has done to other young ladies, he's a monster. He should not live. I think putting him in jail is too easy.
I can say from my personal experience with him that jail is a well-suited place for him to be.
Would you take Ambi to visit him?
I would not take my son to visit him. If my son asks questions, I'm going to be as truthful as possible. But I will not be taking my son to a prison to meet his grandfather. It was hard. It was really hard. He was my everything. For a long time, I didn't even want to believe that it happened. I didn't know that even if he was a bad person, that he would do something to me. I was too scared to tell anybody. I was too scared to tell my mom. I really feel like that 1 millisecond completely just changed my whole life and changed who I was as a person and changed the sparkle I had and the light that I used to carry. I don't know what else to say. So after I told my mom I didn't go over there anymore, my brother and sister, we didn't go over there anymore.
It all changed, though.
And even up until like now, I struggle with it a lot.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
All I know is what happened to me.
Dear daughter Joanne.
And all I know is what happened to my mom. All I know is what happened to my brother and sister. And because of that, I feel like as a family, we all know why he's in jail. I think spiritually, there's just certain things you don't do. And because those things were done, he has to pay for it. Unfortunately, I 100% feel like he deserves to be in jail. And so I will not be taking my son to a prison to meet his grandfather. I had Omni September 16th, and his due date was the 11th, actually, but he decided that he did not want to come, so I ended up having to get induced. It was crazy. I thought I was gonna die, but I guess, like, in a sense, I kind of did, like, spiritually, and I just became like a different person in a matter of like 5 seconds. It was wild. It was wild, but it was like the best experience I've ever had. Like, people ask me all the time, oh, how was it? How do you feel? And I always say, like, it's the worst thing I've ever done in my life, but I would do it all over again. I've always wanted to be a mom. Like, I just kind of knew that from a very young age. And so now that it's here, it's like, it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. It's the biggest sacrifice I've ever had to make daily. But I think it's also the most, like, rewarding thing in the world. Just seeing him smile at me. Just our connection and just knowing, like, wow, I created a human being. Motherhood is, like, the best thing that has ever happened to me. I was pregnant before, about 3 years ago. And I got about halfway through the pregnancy, and I ended up having a miscarriage.
Buku's miscarriage was devastating, to say the least, because she was so happy. Like, she wanted to be a mom more than anything. Since a young girl, though, she was just one of those little girls who looked forward to being a mom. And the miscarriage, I feel like somehow in her mind, her pregnancy was her reboot, her restart. Like, I can start life again. I can be a mom. I can do all these things differently that weren't done for me as a child. And losing that baby took something out of her.
It was devastating because I've always wanted to be a mom. Like, I was that little girl that when I was playing with my Barbie dolls, like, they were my children. I've always had, like, a maternal instinct. Even when it comes to my brother and sister, like, they call me their second mom. So having a miscarriage was devastating for me, especially because my pregnancy, like this one, was private. And when I ended up going to the hospital, literally the day after, one of the nurses leaked it.
And I remember being at home with her and her phone's going off, ding, 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 ding. My phone's going off, ding, 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 ding. And what comes across the feed? Of course, no respect. They don't give her a name. It's R. Kelly's daughter has miscarriage. Like, who does that?
I hadn't even gotten a chance to tell my family that I had a miscarriage. And so that was just rough because I felt like I was forced to deal with it when I wasn't even ready to accept it myself. When I had my miscarriage, so it was really hard. It was a really hard experience, and it affected me for a very, very long time.
Joanne was crying, and she said she was bleeding. And I mean, even I knew that something wasn't right. Something just didn't feel right. And we went to the hospital. we were ever trying to get in. Everyone was trying to get in, and we couldn't, so we had to just wait in the car, and she had to go in by herself. And we got a call from the hospital's phone, and it was just my sister sobbing and saying that they couldn't find the baby's heartbeat. And immediately everyone broke down, and it was really chaotic.
When I had my miscarriage, I had to carry my baby inside of me for 2 weeks, knowing that he wasn't there because of the way that it happened. So for 2 weeks, I was walking around with a dead fetus, waiting to pass. And through those 2 weeks, I still had to get up and go to work and film and deal with people asking me a bunch of questions, having to have that conversation with my grandparents. So it was really hard.
So like the miscarriage, that was just a really painful time for me. I can't talk about it.
Through that process, I got to a really, really dark space. And I remember for probably for a good 2 months, there was not a day that I was sober. I was really fucked up. That really messed me up.
Because she spent a lot of time in solitude, which was very scary. But at the same time, I did trust that she would be okay, and I was just willing to do whatever it took to make sure that she was safe and had a sound mind. But other than that, she spent a lot of time just, I don't know, kind of checked out.
I just feel like with everything that she's been through, she just didn't deserve that.
So my miscarriage was hard. And I think that's one of the main reasons why this pregnancy means so much to me, because it's not me having another baby, it's my baby coming back to me.
It was almost like a death every day from the day she had the miscarriage. It's even harder when you go through something like that and someone else decides to tell the world about it. They took a part of her grieving process from her, and I think that was really hard for her because it was her first taste of what celebrity is. At a point, it had always been geared towards me or her dad. Now it's her and her personal business out there, and she can't control it. And I don't think she was prepared for it.
I found out that she had a miscarriage actually through Instagram. I didn't even know. I found out through Instagram. I told Joanne that I wanted to be there for her and, to keep her head up. When I first met Buku, I was 7, and from then on, we were inseparable. I looked up to her in so many ways, even her style, just, what she wore. She was a trendsetter, for sure. But she was different, even her aura. Very calming. As Buku grew older, she started to become more closed off. Buku and her dad, it wasn't discussed much. I know that she would go and see him on the weekends sometimes, maybe once a month, once every 2 months. But that stopped once she started to become a teenager, and she never talked about him. She, didn't want anybody to know what she was going through. Joe wanted everybody to think that she was okay. And I could tell that that Buku was going through something.
Where all this pain coming from?
When I was younger, my dad, he meant the world to me. That was like my everything. And I was about 8 or 9. And he was having a party. And I didn't want to be without him, so instead of sleeping in my room, I decided to sleep in his office space that was like near the party. And I remember falling asleep. And it had to be probably like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I just remember waking up. I just remember waking up to him touching me. And I didn't know what to do. So I just kind of laid there and I pretended to be asleep. And I just remember from that moment on, like I was a different person. I wasn't the same, but I was too scared to tell anybody. So it was hard to even accept that it happened. So for a long time, I just tried to put it somewhere else. But it got to a point where it was too much. It was too much to not talk about. It was too much to not deal with. So I had to tell my mom. And when I told her, it completely broke her heart. But it was hard. It was really hard. He was my everything. So, after that day, after I told my mom I didn't go over there anymore, my brother and sister, we didn't go over there anymore. And even up until like now, I struggle with it a lot. I struggle with not ever wanting to talk to him again, but then wanting to, because my dad. But I really feel like that 1 millisecond completely just changed my whole life and changed who I was as a person and changed the sparkle I had and the light that I used to carry. I don't know what else to say about it.
Did he get in trouble for it? What happened?
After I told my mom, I had to talk to police and file a report against him and all these other things, and I had to talk to officers and counselors and all these people about what happened. But because I waited so long to say anything, they really couldn't do anything about it. My mom had to go to court for me. They basically couldn't prosecute him because I waited too long. So at that point in my life, I felt like I said something for nothing. I felt like it was a waste of time. And I felt like I was putting my mom through so much for nothing.
I don't know the details, and to be honest with you, it was something that was so uncomfortable for me that it's difficult to discuss, but it's my understanding that there may have been some inappropriate contact between her and her dad. That made me see red. That is why I hate and despise the man. No child should ever have to fear that they will be abused by a parent. It's just that simple. It's my understanding that that contributed very much to her breakdown.
For a long time, I was in a really hard space mentally. And so I ended up in a mental hospital, psych ward, whatever you want to call it. Because I had hit a point in my life where multiple times I had tried to take my own life.
The human mind has limits to its endurance. And after a while, when you see the effect that has on people, when you see that they have fought the good fight and they're still struggling, it was hard. Very hard.
And I just remember one day I was getting up to go to school. And I just broke down in the car on the way, and I was like, I can't go. I don't want to go, Mom. Like, I'm not okay. And that day she called the hospital, and she ended up checking me in. And I didn't leave. I was there for about like 2.5 weeks. I was on like really hard suicide watch, and then for like 2-3 months after that, I was like an in and out patient basically. So I had to go there like every day. That's why I went to school. things like that. But that was a really hard point in my life.
I think mothers go through life with these things in their head that they never want to face. And I think the ultimate one is a mother never wants to bury her child. But I went through a period with Buku that was almost a very real reality for me. And her having to stay in a mental hospital and being in a situation where I can't touch my child, I can't call my child, I can't hug my child, I can't love on her when I know she needs me most, was hard. Even when she came back, she was never the same. And I don't even think she ever will be.
I'm still in the process of learning to love myself. I'm still in the process of learning to trust myself. I believe in my talent. I believe in my abilities. I know I'm fire. I don't sit in my room and question that shit. I've worked very hard for my dreams and my goals. And I think a lot of people assume like, oh, she's R. Kelly's daughter. She has whatever she wants. I get it myself. When it comes down to helping my mom with her dance company and being the assistant creative director, being in rehearsals, performing while 8.5 months pregnant, 6 months pregnant.
Oh God, I just ask that we have a wonderful show. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just now getting to a point where, like, I'm starting to see things because I've worked so hard, and I'm still working. I've worked a 9 to 5 for I don't know how many years now, just to turn around and help my mom pay rent.
People think that my life is like I rode off into the sunset with, I remember seeing on the internet, somebody said, I got $50 million. If you know where that girl is with that check, tell her, call me so I can get that 50 mil, because I ain't seen it yet. I work because I have to. I teach dance classes because I have to. Don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of it because I did it on my own, but it's not what people think.
It's stupid to assume that because of somebody's last name, that they just have it all together. Because I definitely don't have it all together.
You don't forget things like that. It doesn't just go away.
Today, R. Kelly was sentenced to prison for his many crimes against underage girls.
Mr. Kelly deserved the sentence he got by 2 juries of his peers in a fair trial. Absolutely. Absolutely. The things that Mr. Kelly did, he ruined lives. Ruined lives. He may as well have put a gun to people's head and pulled the trigger. If you want my personal opinion, I think 30 years is too lenient.
I hope this sentencing serves as its own testimony that it doesn't matter how powerful, rich, or famous your abuser may be, or how small they may make you feel. Justice only hears the truth.
I was too scared to tell my mom. Because honestly, like, for a long time, I didn't even want to believe that it happened. Because I didn't know what type of person he was. I didn't know that even if he was a bad person, that he would do something to me. So sometimes I feel really, really, really bad that I hadn't said anything or hadn't spoken up long ago. Because I feel like my mom wouldn't be dealing with what she's dealing with if people knew the real reason why she feels the way that she does about my dad. because she felt like it wasn't her story to tell.
Oh, her relationship with her father is it's very complex. It's difficult. My children have been talked about and told that they are selfish, rich, spoiled bastards. Then they've been told that you should be more appreciative of all that your dad has done for you and you wouldn't be where you are without him. They're looked upon like they're monsters simply because of who their father is. It's sick.
I mean, honestly, if I'm gonna be real, no matter how you try to cut it, I don't care what the world thinks. I mean, y'all can have your own assumptions. I know I'm not my dad. I ain't do what he did. I don't got nothing to do with none of that. Me and my sister's gonna rock regardless. And at the end of the day, when you get up out of bed in the morning, it's about what you decide to do in that moment and not what happened or who did what however many years ago.
Me, my brother, and sister, we are going to change the narrative behind the last name Kelly. And so for my son, that name is going to be something to be proud of. It's going to be something that he's going to wear with honor. And he's the first boy of the next generation. Like, if I didn't give him the last name, my brother would have been the last Kelly. And it was important to me. Because, I mean, I don't have a ring on my finger, so my last name is Kelly. So it was important for my son to have my last name as well, you know.
I really feel confident that he won't have to go through what she went through. He's going to have a good beginning with a great parent and a loving family.
Oh my God! Look at you! Look how skinny you are!
What's going on, bro?
That Christmas cake early.
I tell you, first of all, to be honest with you, meeting my great-grandson for the first time today was one of the most wonderful experiences in my life. I lived for it. It was phenomenal.
That was heaven. He is so tiny. He's so cute. He's the best.
I don't want to wake him, but I want to wake him. I know, right? That's how, and it's so funny because when he's up, I'm like, please go to sleep. But when he's asleep, I'm like, please wake up.
I look at Buku and I look at the baby and I see this bond. You know, I see how much she loves this baby, and I can see herself in this baby because it's a new beginning in a sense for her. It's the beginning of it all. And I think with the career and with the baby, I think everything is just gonna lift up.
First start walking.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not ready for that. And he's a mover. Yeah. He is a very busy baby.
Meeting my great-grandson today was the exact opposite of meeting my grandkids for the first time, because I felt like I knew him, because she sent us pictures of him and we got to talk about it. And so it was a different type of anticipation. When I first met my grandkids for the first time, I only had seen one picture of Joanne when she was about 6 months old. So I didn't even physically know what they looked like. If they had walked past me, and I wouldn't have even known them.
It took 7 years for my father to meet his grandchildren because we were alienated from our entire family. There were people put in place as uncles that we did not know when my kids had blood relative uncles. I think the thing that hurt me the most is when we finally got to see my dad, my mom, my uncles, my aunts. They said that they had this big box that they kept because they would send packages for like the kids' birthdays, Easter, Christmas. And they said it would always keep coming back, return to sender. And my uncle said that he kept them because he knew one day he would be able to give it to us.
She has brought sunshine, she has brought song, she has brought positivity. There is nothing better.
Yeah, she did. She's giving you a hard time.
She told you that when you have a child, your investment should be into them. It should be about them and their growth. Because every parent, as they grow, they need to have the person that they brought into this world do better. No negative, no ugliness. Try to give them as much positive, because once we go back into the world as grown-ups, we're gonna have to deal with a lot.
I didn't grow up with a father figure, and so I kind of feel like I don't have much to work with, because everything I figured out was really on my own. And I'm just not necessarily afraid for the child, more so afraid of me not making the right decisions, or not leading correctly, or not being the best figure that I can be as a man in the family.
But now being a mom, it's like, especially a new mom, it's really hard to juggle that, because my son needs me, and of course I'm going to be there for him for anything that he needs. But it's definitely difficult to like go in the studio, get in the zone, and then like an hour later I gotta be mom, you know? I don't think there's ever a day or a moment where I'm not writing. I may not be physically writing, but I'm constantly writing. Like in my brain, I hear melodies all the time. Somebody could be playing a beat, or even just a random song on the radio, and I'm like writing to it with like while listening with the artist that has already recorded over it. Like it's on all the time.
I'ma do this for my kid. I'ma do this for my kid. I'm popping shit.
After having a child, like I just feel so open and so new and so vulnerable right now, because I am. So putting that in my music is definitely gonna translate, and I feel like people are gonna feel that and hear it and see the growth in me as an artist. I wasn't expecting to not only be in a state of like reevaluating myself, but also reevaluating like my family as a whole. I think I spent a lot of time in my life just kind of isolating my situation with my dad and then just me. But now I'm looking at the whole thing. I think one of the challenges is like, you know, when you're growing up, you look at your parents or your family in general, like they all just have like these superpowers and their capes on, and they're like the greatest thing in the world and they can do no wrong. And then when I became a mom, I really, really had to look in the mirror and really think about the things that I want to show my son, and not just show him, but be that example. And so all of the changes that I'm constantly thinking about making, or constantly putting in effort to make, it just made me, I guess, just look at my family as a whole. Like, I didn't realize how much my life affected my family until I had him. So that's been a challenge, because it's almost like the rose-colored glasses, you know, came off, and it's just like, this is where you come from, this is what it is, what are you gonna do to change it or make it better? When we were at the waterfall, in the letter, I was just basically writing to Omni, and I was thanking him for coming back to me. And I was thanking him for choosing me to be his mom, because I know that I'm not perfect and I have a lot that I could work on. But the fact that him and God saw me suited to be his mother meant the world to me. I was thanking him for giving me a chance at proving that. Because I felt it, but until he came back to me, it was like this idea in my mind that I could be a good mom, you know? But him being here and him like, all right, let's see. I feel like that has really shown and proved to me like this is definitely something that I was meant to do. Though it may not be the circumstance that I saw fit or wanted, it's really shown me like, yeah, no, like I was meant to be a mom. Like music and motherhood, those are the two things that I was for sure meant to do. So I was also telling him how scared I was. I'm still scared. You know, there's certain aspects that I'm terrified of, but I feel like that just comes with being a parent.
There's a saying that they call it when you have a baby after a miscarriage, they call it rainbow babies. So this is her rainbow baby, and it means so much to her that she got a second chance at life.
I just want Omni to be happy and fulfilled in life. I think I've really worked on allowing myself for him to come into this world with a blank slate. I don't have no expectations. I don't have no idea or like vision of who he's gonna be, or I'm just letting him come here and tell me what that is. My job as a parent is to guide him in the best direction that he wants to go in, that I possibly can. I'm just trying to live, and I'm still learning about myself. I think that's something that I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
In my personal opinion, I think the whole family is still suffering to this day. I look at my babies and I think about what could have been if this man had even been a mediocre father. If he'd just done the basic things that a father does, right? They could have grown up and been like any other kids, but they couldn't. And you know why? Because he did not want that. He wanted to control them. He wanted to manipulate them. He wanted to take their lives and hold it in the palm of his hand and crush it just because he could.
I want to be a happy mother. I want my child to grow up happy, and I just want a chance to do that. I didn't do anything. So I just want a chance to just live a life. Now we have another generation that is gonna grow up asking why to a lot of questions that I don't want to have to answer.